Listen, I am Joe Viscusi. I am the freaky, devoted, but very proud father of Jacqueline Viscusi. As a matter of fact, yeah, I did use the word freaky because my kids refer to me as the freak when I see these emails. I don't know that, but I look at it as a term of endearment. It is, right? Okay. All right. Anyway, I want to thank each and every one of you. So let me start over here. Thank you very much. All right, here we go. Hey, I think Jackie and Nick, you may have already seen, but from South Korea, right off of the Olympics, we've got some guests here. The Long brothers, the Honorable How Long, and Too Long. Yeah, here they're right here. How Long, Too Long. All right. And then from across the pond, we have the Dovers, Eileen and Ben. Eileen Dover, Ben Dover. How about if I try another joke? One joke? No, joke. I won't. It's not about the midget. One more? I won't tell about the midget who walked in the bar and kissed everybody in the joint. Very, very inappropriate.
Get it out.
Yeah. And he had same sex. Yeah, I better not. Okay. Too much for the parents to explain to the kids. Okay. Louder. Oh, okay. All right. Let me get serious here. I do want to welcome all the guests here, and I want to recognize once again some family members. Let me acknowledge first of all my wife Joyce. Viscusi, if you would stand, please. Joyce. First of all, I want to thank her as well as my daughters for planning this great event. It's unbelievable how much work went into it. And in addition to that, I don't know how many of you know this, but the gown that Jacqueline is in right now was worn by my bride 40 years ago. Just as beautiful, and no special fittings to it at all. Unbelievable. Also, Frank and Molly Chivarella, if you would please stand over here. I want to thank you so much. Wonderful rehearsals in there, and so glad to be joined with you and family. Fantastic. And let's see, we've got Jennifer and Nick, my daughter, and someone. Stand up. Yeah. Joey, where's Joey? Joey and Desiree? All right, taking care of everyone, okay? And then we also have Matt and Kara. Matt is Nick's brother and sister, okay? And let's see, who else we have here? I think I'm sorry, did I cover everybody? All right. Well, listen, this thing wasn't cheap, so have a good time. I'm telling you right now. We have a buffet meal, which is really good because then you get to eat to whatever you want. And you can go back for more. I like that. So hopefully you will too. The other thing I was asked to mention was the party favors. If you look at your party favors, they're also bottle openers. I don't know how many of you noticed that. So, yeah, a little special treat there. Okay. So. Let me say something about my son-in-law Nick, and I'm going to go over and give him a nice handshake in about 30 seconds. When my daughter and I became more than casually interested in one another, I asked her, what's the biggest thing about Nick?
You mean your daughter and my partner?
Well, you blew it for me there. Yeah, because this is the same thing with, so I'll just scrap that whole thing. There you go. All right, that blew. Now, sincerely though, I will carry on because the same actually applies to both of my Nicks, the two Nicks, okay? We've grown to really, the thing is that when I asked each of my daughters really how they measured up on the next time. But what the gravitas was is they just said, they're just good guys, Dad. They're good guys. They're very nurturing. They're very loving. They, if I'm late for work or want to have a drink with my friends. They don't hound me on it, and that's really respects the independence of my daughter and both daughters, as a matter of fact. And to that end, I'm very pleased to have Nick Chiavarella as part of the family here. Now let me talk about Jacqueline here a little bit, okay? Jacqueline is no daddy's little girl. Never has been, never will be, okay? In fact, Jacqueline is the runt of the family, all right? She's the third one, and what I constantly heard from her were complaints about being picked on by her older sister and her older brother, all right? And, I kind of just dismissed that as, a little sibling rivalry, but it kind of went on and on and on for years. And really, those earlier years, I was in Tallahassee, and so I just figured, but yeah, she really, I don't know if you've settled that or not, but I'll tell you what. Whatever they did to you really has made you the tough cookie, and you turned out to be a tough scrapper and a very, very hustling, independent woman that I'm very proud of. I have just three words of advice with regard to marriages, and they're very similar. They keep marriages together, but they also, are reasons why people get divorced. Sex, money, and children. So let me go over sex for, no, I won't do that. But you know what, I gotta say this. One of the groomsmen yesterday, we had some of the groomsmen and bridesmaids over to our house. And one of them, I don't know which one it was, said, so how does it feel that your last child is getting married? And I very flippantly said, well, yeah, it's about time. And I that's not me. That's not how I feel. And I'm going to take a moment here to just talk a little bit, and you geeky nerds, don't fact check me on this, but the history of marriage and the evolution of divorce is an interesting one. And historically, when women would marry, they were actually considered almost like chattel, and they weren't even given last names, and they were married off so they could get a last name and be honorable. As a matter of fact, the endowment, right? That's how parents paid for the wedding. And but things have evolved quite a bit. And for women in general, and I unabashedly am an advocate of women's rights. And both my daughters, and Jacqueline really specifically and very strongly as well as Jennifer in different ways, exemplifies that equal partner relationship. And if you notice in the ceremony, okay, both Frank and Molly walked Nick down, and both Joyce and I walked Jacqueline down. Nobody gave her away, and nobody gave him away. We joined. And that, to me, exemplifies equal partner relationships. In fact, quite frankly, same-sex marriages have done a lot to really emphasize that. Yeah! Yeah! Yeah, you're out there somewhere. And so, to that end, I just, and it takes a very secure man. I know when Jacqueline's Viscusi, and she feels very strongly about that. And as an Italian-American, the last name, I could appreciate how that really rubs against the grain a little bit. But you know what? Nick Chiavarella is secure enough and loves my daughter enough and respects the autonomy and that end of that Venn diagram to give her that space. And I think that, I mean that very sincerely, that's why I love you, Nick. And that's why I don't feel I'm losing a daughter. The corny is, I'm gaining another son-in-law. One of the second last things I want to do, I think there's some Trump tables here. I can't get away, there's some Trumpsters here. So just a quick prayer, Father, forgive them for not what they do. No, okay, I won't do that, no. But anyway, all right, anyway, listen, I just want to say, maybe, you look constipated here. I just want to say, may you love and laugh as long as you live, and may you live as long as you love and laugh. For tomorrow, who knows? I love you. Have a good time,
Thank you guys for coming. I really quickly just wanted to introduce my sister, who's the maid of honor, Jen Viscusi. I, embarrassingly enough, at her wedding was pretty wasted, so I didn't say all the things that I wanted to say. So basically, very quickly, I just want to congratulate her for getting matched. She's going into her doctorate, and she's doing an internship, and that's a really big deal. And we're really proud of her. We're so proud of her. And she's my big sister. She always will be. She's the best inspiration I could have. I looked up to her my entire life. If I had to picture a big sister, and if I had to explain the best case scenario, she is 10 times that. She will always be my big sister. I'm so proud of her. She's so smart, so beautiful, so wonderful. And I just wanted to introduce my sister Jen. Wow, well, thank you. What an introduction. I wasn't expecting that. I was already really emotional, and now that really set the stage. So, but thank you so much, and thanks everybody for being here. We're really happy to celebrate Jackie and Nick. I knew going after my dad would be a solid slot, so I'm happy about that. At first, I thought he was gonna run for office, and then I was like, can we cut the Korean jokes? Like that's, but he's not, so that's good. Anyway, so I was it's funny because I was realizing that Jackie usually does stuff after me, and so she mentioned the maid of honor speech that she gave at my wedding, and that was one of her firsts that she had over me. And so by watching her, I did learn that I don't really need to be too funny. And so, well, there's just low pressure, so that's really nice, so thank you. But for anyone who knows us, they know that Jackie and I are very close. And when I think about now, I have to think about how things were when we were younger. And when she arrived as my little sister, I really wasn't expecting to have a little sister. It was me and Joey, and we were just buddies. I mean, we played sports, we roughhoused, and we didn't really know what to do with her. She was also a really petite little baby. And I mean, she's a petite woman, but she's always just been that way. And so Joey and I remember we couldn't decide if she was more scrawny or skinny. So we just immediately nicknamed her Scrin. We combined the two and just nicknamed her Scrin. And so as we were growing up, Scrin and I mean, there's this 8-year gap between us. And then when when you're 16 and 8, that's just a really big gap. And I really couldn't have cared less what she was all about. We were just very different. And she was always watching me, always trying to copy me. And she loved when people pointed out how similar we were. Oh, Jackie, you're so smart. Oh, you're so funny. You're so talented. And I just kind of thought she was an annoying kid. But as she got older, something happened, probably around high school. I don't know. And we got a lot closer, and we shared experiences. We traveled. We joked around. And I found myself just being better by being around her. And I can't tell you exactly what happened. Maybe it's just age, but I can just tell you that I'm so thankful that it did. As we got older, we were just able to grow so much closer. And Jackie is truly one of my favorite people on the planet. And the truth is that now I often strive to be like her. She's taught me to always see the lighter side of things. And she also reminds me that humor is always an option for coping with adversity. Um, she's really taught me that. And she's magnetic and loving and daring and passionate. And I really didn't want this to be that like classic when the family's down, Jackie's there speech, but it's so easy to see how things go that way because it's really, really hard to sum up one of the most important people in your life. So suffice to say that I love her dearly, and I'm so thankful that she did land in our family as my sister. So there's no doubt that Nick saw many of the great things that I see and we all see. And when I met Nick, I immediately understood why Jackie liked him. First, well, his name was Nick, and I had just married someone named Nick, so of course that was attractive. But also, he was so kind and warm. And from the moment that I met you, Nick, I just felt like I knew you forever. You just have this familiarity about you that is just so wonderful. And over the years, you've just become like a little brother to me, and you just fit really well into our family. And the two of you together, you're just so genuine. I know you've seen each other at your best and also at your worst. And I think that your respective strengths complement your respective flaws. And I'm just so happy that you both are together and that you found each other. And I'm happy to have Nick in our family and his family in our family. It's been really nice getting to know you all too this weekend. So with that, I just say congratulations, and I love you both so much.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Matt. I'm the best man. I'm Nick's big brother. Thank you. I want to thank you all for being here. Also, how about a round of applause for the parents of the bride, Joyce and Joe Viscusi. The parents of the groom, Frank and Molly Chivarella. And I want to also acknowledge my fellow groomsmen. I wasn't around when you and Nick were getting to know each other and being friends in college and in New York. But I've been privileged to spend the last few days with you, and I can't tell you or tell the rest of you what wonderful guys these are. They went all out to put together a bachelor party that made my brother so happy, and he's so lucky to have you as friends. So with that, I've kind of got an odd place to start, so I hope you'll bear with me. But when I was growing up, there was a lot of talk because a lot of people were having kids, and there's a lot of talk about how many boys and how many girls. And I remember being 8 years old, and I kind of took that rather personally. I don't know why, I guess, but I just wanted to be, on the winning team, so to speak. But because no self-respecting 8-year-old boy wants to get beat by the girls. And in my mind, it was sort of my job to will another boy into existence. And I had a sister, and I was good, And I was looking at my cousin Jason. He had 2 sisters, and he didn't look too happy. And then I thought about my dad. He had 3 sisters. Look what happened to him. So then on March 5th, 1985, my cousin Ann, who worked at the school where I was going to, she came and told me that my willpower had indeed worked, and I, in fact, had a baby brother. And I was thrilled and grateful. I mean, right out of the womb, Nick does me a solid, comes out a boy. I felt great, And And at this point, there's another little fact I want to drop here. All three of us, myself, my sister Kara, and Nick, we all have sort of a song that our parents gave us. Either when, I don't know when they came up with it, obviously right after we were born or when Mom was pregnant with us. Mine is Danny's song by Loggins and Messina. Kara's is Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder. And Nick, this is classic because it's so perfect for him. Nick's song is I'm So Excited by the Pointer Sisters. And it's, yeah, I know, it's really perfect for him. He's so full of life and love and happiness, and he's always there taking us along for the ride as he goes, and it's been such a joy watching you, Nick. I mean, it's been one success after the other. I mean, and I go back to like 5th or 6th grade when he was doing impressions of Fire Marshal Bill, which went on to Middle School of the Arts, Dreyfus High School of the Arts, getting cast as Captain Hook, going on to FSU. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And he Murder Fist, getting grad school in London, But lest you think that it's been a perfect ride for him, I want you to know that despite appearances, it's not always been that smooth. There's been a list of incidents over the years, but in the interest of time and Nick's dignity, I'll only mention my favorite story, which this happened in a show, I'm told, and because I still remember hearing about this over the phone, but it happens in a show. He sticks his hand in a blender, and by some, I don't want to say miracle, but some twist of fate, the blender turns on. And I don't know, I mean, like, I remember the phone call with Mom after the fact was just like you wouldn't believe, and because I remember being there, and I'm like, does he have his fingers? Yes. How did that happen? And there's like a moment of dead silence, and then she goes, I don't know. But, it was just the most surreal thing. And I think about that because we have a saying in our family that goes, it's good to be Nick, okay? And usually that comes up after something, he has won something, he has escaped by the skin of his teeth and come out, and come out just fine. I mean, Christina's wedding, where they both missed their flights. He still manages to get to the wedding on time, first time. It's just, it gets to a point where you're like, and Kara and I have had this conversation, like, what is it with this kid, It's just ridiculous. I remember he had called me once, he was in Europe, because of course he's in Europe, bopping around. And he says to me, yeah, I don't have a lot of time to talk. I'm in London. I'm going to see a play in the East End with Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. But how are you doing? I'm fine, Nick. Thanks. And it's you sit there and you're like, isn't it time for him to stick his hand in the damn blender again? But really, the truth is that Nick makes his own luck because he's fearless and he never gives up. And the reason he's so successful is because he makes great decisions, which brings me to Jackie. Yeah, go ahead. So Jackie, I have to say, Nick marrying you has got to be the best decision I think he has ever made. And I am so happy that you're a part of my family. I now have a new sister, and I just love you so much. So with that, I'll raise your glasses. To Nick and Jackie, long life and long love, forever and ever. Cheers.